So thanks, Nick, for coming to do podcast number 1. So let's just roll with it. So a little bit about yourself and us as well. So we've known each other for probably 8+ years, which I find absolutely staggering because I've got a feeling it might be longer, but it's been a fair few years.
I've lived here coming on 8 years now, and I kind of knew you before I actually moved here. So I moved end of 2015. So it will be 8 years come September.
That's a long, long time.
That's crazy.
It seems longer, but that's probably because if people don't know, me and Nick not only have known each other, but we've taught together, we've worked at Western Practice together, quite a few notches that we've done together.
We've been to a lot of festivals together.
We have actually. Funny enough, some of our best photos that we have, we've seen Kings of Leon together. We went to BBC One's big weekend in Hull.
Yeah.
Was that 2019?
Yeah.
It was some time ago. I do know, it's not to put a bit of an L on the podcast so far, but I believe that was the year after Manchester bombings, because I've never known security to be so, because we had to go we got checked before we got on buses, and then the buses took us to the area, and then we got double checked off the buses and then into BBC Ones. There was a lot of security that year.
I had to leave my cans behind, James.
They literally weren't allowed any. It was literally just clothes, wallet, passport, and that was it. That's all we allowed in. But that was a really good weekend, that one.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
Good.
But you've just said as well, you've been living over here since 2015?
Yeah, and good old South Shields.
So, brought up in Ireland.
Yep.
What brought a young, fit Irish boy all the way over to sunny South Shields? Sandancer country.
I don't know if I was fit when I left, but yeah, I grew up on a small farm in like the southeast of Ireland, little rural area, beautiful place by the sea. Our next closest town was very, very similar to South Shields. And weirdly enough, my best friend growing up, Michaela, her dad is from South Shields, but it was not something that I really clocked for a long time. But when I was looking at options for further study,
yes,
and I had a course that came up in Newcastle that I wanted to do, and I actually knew your brother.
Yes.
And
everyone seems to know Stuart.
Yes.
Everyone, if you're from South Shields, apparently Stuart's the well-known one. It's not I know James. It's like, James Stewart's brother. That's the one that normally gets.
But no, I had met Stuart at the Mr. Gay World competitions the year before. And when I saw the course, I was chatting to Stuart and he said, come on over, stay at my place. So I moved in with Stuart for a little while, did my course, and actually got onto my master's from it. So enjoyed the area, got to know South Shields a little bit. It was very homely. It was like home away from home. You had the amusements, the arcades, the lovely sea. And then I actually got to meet loads of lovely people as well. So settled in quite quick, which was good. Yeah. But I did think that I would go back after that.
Well, that was it. I mean, I remember when Nick first came over, I believe you had the conversation of like, I'm going to see how it is after a year, 2 years, and now it's 8 years later.
I did move home for 3 months. Yeah. I came for it was a year course, and I went home.
For people who don't know as well, I'm sure Nick might not bring this up, but Nick has like land in Ireland as well. I don't know what that is, but you have land in Ireland?
We were on a farm, so we've got like a big hill behind us. There's a little lake behind. It's really cool. We've got, my nan lives there with my aunt, and that's where I call home. So when we go home, you're on the land. It feels very, I don't know, right, like correct. Yeah. But I've found my own home here now as well, which is it was surprising for me because I have a lot of love for Ireland and I feel very patriotic. But if anyone asks and say where you're from here, I do feel happy to say I'm from South Shields.
Well, no, it's true. It's because if you're from South Shields, you'll know that we're quite proud if you're from Sunderland, you're a Mackham. Mm-hmm. If you're from Newcastle, you're a Geordie. But if you're from South Shields, we're quite proud of being Sandancers. And if anyone has ever been brought up in South Shields or come to live in South Shields, everyone always seems to either end up back here for holidays, ends up coming back to live in South Shields. Even me, I lived in Liverpool for 2 years and I ended up coming back home for Shields. There's something about the time, the beaches, as you say, the water.
There's a weird thing with the, I suppose it's mostly football rivalry here, which is something I was not aware of before I came over. So I work in a hospital across South Tyneside in Sunderland, and I've got a lot of people there that have the same dilemma because it's across the two kind of boroughs, would you say? Kind of Newcastle, Sunderland.
South Shields is in that
weird, in the middle.
Grey, not grey area isn't bad, but that's why we call ourselves Sandancers, because I just say I'm a South Shields Mariners fan, which is our local football club, because that keeps it nice and simple in the middle. But you're right. If you're from South Shields, it's like, I'm going to say you swim more Newcastle than Sunderland, because apparently, well, Sunderland aren't doing too great, are they? They could be doing better, put it that way.
Football, me, no idea. There's Stuart that we train with here in the morning.
Yes.
Has told me on a many occasion that I must support Newcastle.
Absolutely.
So I've had the opposite from my friend Dan in triathlon, who's been trying to get us to get a season ticket to Sunderland. So I'm kind of this sway vote here at the minute, but I've narrowed it down as to how I can pick out which one I'm going to support. And that's because I look at the kit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a strong choice to be fair.
Whoever's got the shinier kit,
yeah,
the more fluorescent, the brighter the kit, you've got me sold. So season on season, you've got an opportunity to win me over.
Yeah.
But this Christmas, I got a gift.
Oh, South Shields Mariners.
I got a Newcastle top.
Oh, fantastic.
So I've made my choice for this year.
You made the correct choice.
All up for review come 2024, so we'll see.
No, that's amazing. I mean, so with your personal life coming over from, Ireland, big steps coming over to South Shields, for those who don't know as well, Nick is one of the most cleverest, and I will use that word, cleverest people I know. Not only degrees, masters, but he has such a passion for massage, physio, general health and well-being. Where did that stem from? Was it just something that you've always been into, or is it through previous injuries, or perhaps, injuries seen in family or anything like that? Where'd that come from?
It came around, I think, in two different kind of ways, to be honest. I started off as a kid. I used to do gymnastics. I used to love doing gymnastics. Mm-hmm. This is going to go in the Pride Month direction, just seeing as it is the end of the Pride Month. I've got to get it in there. But I did gymnastics as a kid, and I got a lot of stigma being a boy doing gymnastics. And it was my first experience of maybe unintentional homophobia that I had experienced. Mm-hmm. And with that, I felt a lot of shame around participating in sport. I couldn't unlink.
Because it was still quite feminine.
I was young, and it was all girls, and they were all my best friends. So I didn't have to see anything wrong with it until other people pointed it out to me that it was different. Yeah. But at that age, I didn't have the insight to know that it was specifically gymnastics. In my head, it was, this is about sport. So I didn't want to be different at that point. So I actually gave it up quite young, and I didn't want to do sport again. That's actually kind of a bit of a revelation for me. But that was the first time
it has changed away since then, which is good.
Drastically. Yeah. But it took me a while. I was until maybe about 12 years old, and I had started to put on the pounds as a kid. I kind of withdrew a little bit, and my mum actually really encouraged me to get back into something. So in Tramore, where I'm from, we've got a swimming club. And I thought, that's pretty good. In my head, I was like, don't really have to talk to anyone because your head's going to be in the water all the time, and then I can just get out and leave, and I'll work off the pudge. That's actually a great point. So that was my unsocial childhood thought. But I went and did it, and I soon realized that actually, no, I do like sport, and I didn't have the stigma for doing swimming because that was kind of a cool sport.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, I try to tell a lot of people when it comes to the fitness on the studio, people just think exercise is weight or cardio, and people go, I've tried everything. I don't mean to say this, but I don't think you've tried everything. You just haven't found the right sport or hobby or particular exercise that you enjoy or like. And as you've just said there's swimming, there's cycling, there's squash, there's badminton, there's anything. And you've just said you've kind of went into the swimming route. Yeah. And did that give you a bit more of the...
It got me back into moving. I started shifting the pounds. I started feeling more confident because I was doing something for my health and feeling a bit more assured. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, my aunt Colette, she said, she was living in America, and she had come back home and she was opening a kickboxing gym. That was
now onto kickboxing. This is amazing.
Very left field for me. Yeah. But she said, why don't you come along to the opening day? You can just see what it's about and have a bit of crack with the other kids that turn up. And then 4 years and a black belt later, I'd still stuck it out. I took on yoga in the meantime, and I kind of found a bit of a balance between the fighting, the swimming, the yoga in particular was really interesting because it wasn't so competitive, but it was still a very kind of therapeutic practice that I got a lot of benefit from.
Would that link in with the breathing as well, with the swimming, I would have thought, potentially?
Absolutely. Breath control, particularly more in mindfulness and reflection.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the first places where I was forced introspective thinking started coming about. You were quiet for an hour, even though you're doing movement. So your physical body was shifting, but your mind was still.
Yeah.
And learning how to control that with your breathing and finding deeper levels within your business. God, this has gone very deep. Very
No,
deep,
I think that's this is the whole point of a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, as Adam would say, we have branches and we branch off those conversations, which is good. So talking about, you know, all the different sports that you've done, this probably brings you. We're going to fast forward, you know, 5-6 years. Tri Life, South Shields Tri. Going to do a couple of cheeky little plugs. If you've not done triathlons and you really want to get into it, even I found it interesting following South Shields Tri Club is they really do endeavour to hit all capabilities and all abilities as well and all ages. For someone like me who's very weights based and does not as much as condition or, you know, out there athletically as I should, I probably could give it a go. And I think that's what they're really trying to do. So what got you into Tri Life and triathlons?
So again, another bit of a twist on the Pride Month, but I actually started off playing rugby, which I'd never done. When I moved over here, there was an inclusive rugby team, the Newcastle Ravens. So I started playing with them. I'd never really played much rugby before. I didn't do it at school. Did not think it would be for me. But I decided, I'll give it a go, and ended up being the captain for 2 years in the end, and really, really enjoyed that process. However,
Amazing.
At the end of it, I get very competitive, and sometimes I put myself in stupid situations. So I was breaking my bones. So I had fractured, basically took my thumb off. My whole wrist was destroyed at one point.
It's not sexy going into work with a black eye and stuff like that.
Well, when you're a physio, you don't go into work, and I was self-employed.
Your clients might be questioning me why you turned up like that.
Yeah, I mean, they probably still could, but no, I found I loved that, but it didn't match with me professional life. It didn't. I didn't want to be injured all the time, and I thought triathlon technically non-contact sport. And it was actually off the back of kind of COVID times. Everything closed down. People weren't meeting up, so I picked up a bit of running. I did a fundraiser where I did like 50k in January or something like that, and I was looking around to see, you know, what groups were around, what was on. With my swimming background, I thought running, swimming, spotted the Tri Club. So South Shields Tri, at South Shields Tri on social media.
Absolutely. We will be putting all the hashtags and everything and all the links in. But generally, they are a fantastic club. They really are.
They're so good. One of the big factors for me was that it needed to be inclusive. And I don't use that word lightly, because you can have spaces where they'll say anyone's welcome, but when you get there, it doesn't feel like that. And I've been through a lot of them. So for me, when I turned up, it was inclusive. It felt very welcoming. The people were lovely. And like you said, James, it's not about your ability to do any of the 3 disciplines. It's about your ability to turn up and participate. And we've got age range from like 5 to like nearly 80, I'm sure, that are regular members of the club. We do a huge amount of training. You know, everyone does their own. We come together to do our training sessions on swimming, running on a Tuesday night, swimming on a Wednesday night. Often we'll do the bike on a Thursday over the weekend. There's a big mix, but it's the people that make it. They're nice people.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, I sponsor Nick and coach Nick with a lot of his training schedule in regards to obviously the triathlons that you do. And what's great, what you said, is with it being so inclusive, as well as that, it helps shift. And I'm not saying weight loss is, you know, the be all and end all, but you see so many people of all ages and capabilities get fitter, whether that is in weight loss, being a bit more gains in strength wise. But also they give it a go. Like, I love how they have them starting off with doing like only 200 meter swims, a half a mile cycle, and we'll do a half a mile run. Simple, achievable, structured targets. So once people know that hey, I actually completed that. And it's great seeing all these kids, teenagers, adults, and even those who never thought that could even step foot on a pitch and do a bit of running. They're all completed. And like you say, they're just, I believe you do, is it once a month, or they're encouraged, they don't have to try competitions as well?
So we do it's a triathlon, a British triathlon initiative that's supported in the club. We run a monthly Go Try event, and it was in the title, Go and Try. So it's open to absolutely anybody. Things like
I never would have got that, by the way, but I like that.
But when you turn up, you don't have to have any experience. All we ask is that you can manage to do a couple of lengths of a pool, just so that you can actually participate. And if you can't, you can come to our swim sessions and we'll get you there. But the monthly session is really it's not about a certain distance. It's not about a certain time. It's having the opportunity to put any order of the 3 different sports. So you can just do a swim and a run. You can do a bike and a swim. You can do run, bike, run.
It's like a
whatever
mix
you
and
like
match to see what you're comfortable with, and then you can maybe try all 3. Because you hit the nail on the head about injury prevention. So I'm going to blow a little bit of smoke up my advertising bum. So with the studio, as you know, we do 3 weights-based training sessions a week. We try to do them on push-pull chest. We do legs and then shoulders and arms. And generally, you would say that you're through the strength-based training that you think that's definitely helped injury prevention, not only with yourself, but you've talked with other athletes that you think a lot more people should be doing or participating in some basic weights training as well. Would you say that's a definite help?
So I'm a physio by background, so I've got a good level of insight into what works to get people functioning well and particularly participating in sport. One of the biggest factors in the tri community that people miss out on because of the volume of training that's required in swimming, biking, and running is actually injury prevention work in strength and conditioning. So I've had a lot of conversations with people when they have injuries, and we kind of dig a bit deeper. When did it start? Why has it been coming on? And one of the common factors there is that they don't do enough strength-based work to actually build their muscle conditioning for the sport-specific exercise. So for me, coming here, I haven't had an injury, like touch wood. Like,
literally, we'll all touch wood this.
But I do feel that's quite rare in people that I compete with. Like I will often see people in their prime and they're just struck down with an overuse injury or, they've done muscle strains, muscle tears, whatever they've done. And it's usually because they haven't done enough strength.
Well, it's the old saying about prevention is better than the cure, isn't it? So it's making sure that people, yes, they might not be engaged in exercise now, but it's to stop the whole point of, potential stress fractures, repetitive strain injury, which I also had, which we recently talked about, but that was a long time ago. But a lot more people should be actively engaged. It doesn't have to be heavy. Heavier doesn't necessarily mean better, but just in some form of resistance-based training, which would be good.
I call it life prevention, James. I know it's a bit of a weird one, but for me,
I like that. Take me through that.
Future-proofing.
Yes.
You set yourself up. Like the research will tell you, there's a huge, as you age, getting on, I'm 31, James. But
I'm 31 as well, just 2.
There's a huge incidence of sarcopenia, which is basically kind of a general age-related weakness that comes in the bones and the function, and also things like osteopenia. All of these things can specifically be improved to a much higher level to reduce your rate of injury, but also just the likelihood of being capable as you age. So a lot of the time, it's not necessarily that you've torn a muscle or you've broke a bone. It's just that you can't really live as well as you want to.
You're totally right.
Lower level strength
quality
training,
of life, isn't it? Really, yeah.
Yeah, being able to carry your shotgun up a stairs. Simple little day-to-day functioning tasks that you can actually achieve because you've invested the time in yourself to develop that capability and maintain it with age.
Because this is, just as I've got a couple of subjects here that we want to. Do you think we've got lazy as a nation? Topical subject, but I do think for the majority part, and we both work in professional health, it's scary how the statistics of not necessarily weight-wise, but the majority of the UK is getting heavier, more overweight, sedentary lifestyle. Yep. And it's a shame, isn't it? Because going back to one of the original points is there's so much opportunity now, and people are I just wish people had a kick with the bum and just that give a go attitude seems to have gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that as well.
It's an interesting one, and for me, it's a bit of a chicken and egg because you're absolutely right. We're doing something social media related right now, so this is going to potentially go across as hypocritical. But with social media, with the invention of the internet, and with life becoming instant in front of you without ever having to leave the seat you're sitting on, that component alone, just people's ability to seek human connection of any kind has become
is in a sit position,
absolutely sedentary. So before, if you were sat at home bored in an evening, you don't have Facebook or Instagram to scroll to. You get up, you go see your neighbors, you walk, you move, you go and do something.
It's like we were just saying about how we are we're millennials. We're not Generation Z technically. There's this new Generation Z. We're millennials still. We're millennials, right? Can you fact check that? Yeah, we are.
I was born in 1992,
well,
James.
1990. But you're right. We were that last generation of like, we went from dial-up broadband to broadband.
Insert that noise.
Before we had our own personal mobiles, it was you would actually ring your friend from your house landline and go, we'll meet at the park at 7:30. You would meet at the park at 7:30. There was none of this like, sorry, something's come up, instant text, and like you say, that instant connection. It was like you would wait at the park for 20 minutes, then you'd be like, oh, actually, we're not there.
Funny story for you.
Home. So
when I was growing up, I used to have two
activity, by the way. You were saying
absolutely. I used to have two friends, Julie and Megan, that I used to go to swimming with, and I remember my first mobile phone. Like even before it had internet, and you still paid $4.99 for a Lord of the Rings monotone ringtone.
Yeah.
But we used to have a system that you'd try and work around the free text system. You used to be able to send a call me where you had no money because you were kids.
0800 reverse.
Yeah. But we actually made like an SOS code system where if it was 1, it meant something. If it was 3, it meant something. So we could coordinate via free text message Morse code that we needed to call each other or where we would need to meet.
Yeah.
And we had like sat down, wrote a reference grid for how many in what time period. Like we could have cracked the enigma. We were special teams.
That good.
But even with that, we were getting out. We were doing something. We were kind of engaging our brains in a a good thinking activity. And I noticed soon-ish after that, Bebo, MySpace. These were the kind of things that came about for me.
What a throwback.
But you then didn't have to go anywhere. The connection became so easy.
Yeah,
that we would
MSN Messenger.
Yeah, sitting in our own house. And now, like nowadays, you've got like, I don't even know tech stuff, but my phone can do video calls.
Yeah.
So I can speak to, it's great to speak to people in other countries, but I'll video call my mom who lives 2 minutes away. Like, so that's not necessary. I can just go and see her.
This is going to be a bit topical. So online personal training. So I think there's a place in the market for it, especially for those who might be home-based or house-based. But coming from, you do physio, massage, myself as well, I personally still agree that there's still more than enough room for one-on-one personal training, the small group training, simply because those who have particularly health issue or anything, you go to the doctor. If you can, you go as a patient to the doctor, just like with the one-on-one personal training, just like you've hit the nail on the head, because of the instant you're sitting on your bum, you can easily just say you've done something, but have you done it?
Yeah.
Whereas if you actually get up and go to the personal trainer, that's where the instant accountability comes in. So would you agree with that one as well? Or?
Absolutely. I think there's something in psychology that would say about having a target in the sense of an appointment or a set time that you turn up. I think it really does foster meaningful accountability for people. And a lot of the time now, I don't think people are as self-motivated maybe to find their own accountability. We become quite reliant on easy options, shall we say. Whereas coming here for me, I know I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've chose that.
I was going to say, it's not every class is at 5 in the morning, but interestingly enough, it is the popular option.
And it works for me because I get up in the morning, I start my day, I get up, I come here, I've done a workout before 6 o'clock or before 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? And the rest of my day is set up. It's nice and easy. I've got out, I go to work, then after that, I work with people all day, can come home and I can relax. I like the morning.
Well, that's it, because then that people think that it's hard getting up in the morning, but when you've done a, say, 9 to 5 job on average, and then you sat in traffic and then you start to get a little bit lull and tired, and that's when you think, I'm meant to be going to the gym now. But again, that's that great accountability of, that's where you can't sometimes rely on motivation, because I always say the hardest part of the workout isn't necessarily the workout.
That's the easy bit.
5 minutes between
bloody getting down the road to get here. That's the hard part. Finding the get up and go. But you know what? Energy breeds energy. So if you can have someone like yourself who can blow that energy at you, you catch it, you turn up, you get here. Over time, you start to generate your own energy. And when we don't have energy, or when we're too tired, we don't have the motivation to get up and go, that's where you come in. You get people developing their own energy again and finding what works for them.
So physio, massage, everything all in one. What's next for Nick Flanagan.
Bloody long nap.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of bits on. I've started. I have 2 roles that I do now in work, and I'm the second one of which I've been doing for a little while. I'm interviewing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, I'm hopeful that I might get it. So we'll see. And otherwise, working away at work, triathlon, it's now race season. Like, it's race season hard. I've been doing a lot, and I've been absolutely loving it. For me, having something to work towards, that gives me energy and motivation all the time. I know I have a goal. I want to work towards it. I know what I need to do to get there. Keep me right with all the strength training,
Thank you very
swimming,
much.
the bike, the run. The guys that try keep me right. And I feel a sense of accomplishment when I set a goal and achieve it.
Because just before, got a couple of minutes left, is you know, you've just gone up 2 in the world rankings through the training and everything. You can probably tell the guys, what's a couple of the most recent accolades you've just got there?
This year, biggest ones. I'd done the Manchester Marathon with my friend Jade earlier in the year. My first marathon distance. Fun. I got on the podium at the National Triathlon Championships in Ireland.
Amazing.
Made my place for next year again.
Twice, 2 in a row.
Yes.
2 in a row now. Fantastic.
And next up, or recently, was Ibiza World Championships.
I know, of all places, one of the best isles in the world, Ibiza for the World Championships.
Really, really good.
You know,
to be honest,
work hard during the day, party at night.
You know what it was? I don't really drink anymore, but I had, when I arrived there, I had a glass of red wine, a proper nice Spanish wine.
Yeah.
And then I sat down and had, I don't know, Spanish food, nice thing, and it was. The hardest thing was having to put it down, because I knew I had to go and do a race and was trying to keep on the straight and narrow for it. Yeah. But Ibiza itself was absolutely beautiful place, and the race went well. I was really happy.
I think that sums about everything up. I think that's been a lovely, good 20 to 30 minutes of just a bit of talk of everything. Is there anything you would like to finish with at all?
Not really. I would just say that here's a little plug for you. You don't get them often, so you can have this for free.
Thank you.
I like coming here because it's a really good little vibe. I do the group strength classes on a morning. I do them 3 times a week, and we've got a really good little gang of 6 of us that work together.
Keep it a 6 or 7 max, but it's normally 6. So yeah.
But it's fun. You come, everyone kind of checks in with each other. We've got our WhatsApp group where we can support each other with accountability. We were chatting a load of crap about running shoes the other day. It's the place you can have these sport-related conversations. People don't judge you for them. Yeah. But yeah, it makes me feel good coming here. And I think if you're on the fence at all about getting involved with strength training, I know a lot of people kind of worry about, oh, I don't want to have loads of muscles, or I don't want to look bulky, or this or that or the other. I mean, would have to have severe kind of motivation to get to that point. Yeah. So considering you're on the fence about coming here, that's not a worry you need to have right now. Just come along. It will make you fitter. It'll make you happier.
It's a nice mixture of strength and a bit of some of the challenges we put on as well, which is quite good. So it pushes people a little bit outside that comfort zone, which is good. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day. And good luck in your future sport endeavors. And we'll tag South Shields Tri and anyone else that we mentioned in the podcast. Have a great day.